All right, so the weather outside today is not so great for projects, and most of our projects are outside projects at this point. So I thought I'd take a few minutes to talk a little bit about our storage and where we keep things in the coach. We've been working on that as we've been fixing things up so that we're ready to go when we go camping and have what we need. From my perspective, it's mostly spare parts and tools and fluids and supplies and things that I think are important for traveling. And most of those things are stored in just a few places because we wanted to have other storage for dishes and clothes and other camping gear type of things. And so under this bench of the dinette space, we have some spare parts. Under the other side, we have tools mostly. Under the couch, so in the storage area under the couch and bunk bed, we have mostly things that we need for camping. So surge protector for a power supply if we're plugged into the campsite, some of the water and miscellaneous sewer and other connection type things that we don't store outside. And then we have fluids and things under the refrigerator in the little storage area there. We keep basically all the dishes and kitchen things here in the kitchen. We've got some storage back here, closet and drawers and things for other miscellaneous camp gear and clothes and things like that. And then we keep the cabinets up here empty, so they're empty right now, just so that we have room when we're going someplace for the supplies that we think we'll need on that particular camping trip. So just to give you an idea of how we're storing things in these places, I think we'll kind of dig in and show you what we've got in each spot. All right, so this is what we keep under the fridge. And I think if you have a vacuum, then a lot of the space is taken up with the vacuum cleaner. We don't have that, it's all been removed. And so we get a little extra storage that way. And always good to have a few extra shop rags. We've got just a metal plate here for the jack and the hydraulic jack itself. And then we've got this, which I think is a support plate for the the bogies. Basically, if you're deflating the airbag and jacking it up, this helps keep the wheels from falling down too far. So kind of a handy thing to have. We've got the jack device here, basically that hooks under the bogie. I think this may also work in the front of the coach. I haven't used it up there, but then the jack pushes up on this so that you can lift the vehicle with the hydraulic jack. Of course, little WD-40 with all the rust that we run into. This is a pretty handy thing to have. This is a silicone type, so I'll use this sometimes on seals and other things. And then miscellaneous screws and nuts and bolts. These are basically all stainless steel ones that I've acquired through various projects, and just like to have those handy if I need to do a project. And then from a fluids standpoint, I didn't like that when we got the coach, fluids were kind of just in cardboard boxes and things like that. We wanted a plastic container so that if something leaks, it's contained. And so we got a nice plastic storage unit here, and we've got a couple of funnels, some extra oil, antifreeze, power steering fluid, brake fluid, things like that. So kind of the basic fluids that you might need, transmission fluid, stuff like that for topping anything off while we're on the road. Of course, if we're traveling a long ways, we could always replenish these supplies along the way if we need to, or maybe pack a little extra. All right, so now I'll show you what's underneath this side of the dinette. I took the table away because if we're going to be digging in here, it's a lot easier to do that without the table in the way. And so we can just take off the Velcro panel there, and this is mostly spare parts. So we've got a box of electrical items there, so extra wire and connectors and things. Light bulbs. We've replaced pretty much all the light bulbs with LED bulbs. So don't expect those to burn out, but it's good to have a few extras. And we've done a fair bit of heater hose and other things, so we've got some clamps and things like that. Another bin of just miscellaneous things. We kind of like these bins because the lids latch on, so things don't, fall apart and, fall out and turn into a mess. So that's been pretty nice. They stack up nicely. And then got a tarp here. So not exactly a spare part, but handy thing to have, and it fits in there nicely. And then this is kind of our main spare parts bin. And again, a latch down lid is nice. And then we've got an extra airbag here. We've got some extra air lines, zip ties, heater hoses, extra fuel pump, some bungee cords, things like that. So, not a huge number of spare parts, but just some of the things that we think are handy to have in case there was some kind of repair that needed to be done. So far, zip ties have been very handy, so I always keep a good supply of those. Okay, so this is the side that I keep most of the tools in, and just about the right size for my tool collection. A couple of tool bags. This one's got kind of multimeter and some rags and gloves and kind of some basic things that are nice to have. Breaker bar, always handy. Also, a nice pry bar is good to have. So I've got one of those, and then bag here basically full of sockets and Torx, well, not Torx bits, Allen bits. So those basic socket type tools. And then this is the main tool kit. So this is all wrenches and screwdrivers and wire cutters and pliers and vice grips and things like that. So this is the main tool kit. And then good to have a socket set, and always keep a torque wrench also. And that's pretty much it, other than a few extra rags. Can't have too many rags. But this is pretty much all of the tools that I use for my projects on the coach, and so I feel like it's probably good to be carrying these with me on the road if it's what I'm doing to do the repairs here at the house. I don't want to use a bunch of my tools here at the house and then head down the road and wish that I had something. So basically, if I need a tool for a project, I pretty much try to keep it in the kit with the other tools here. All right, and now for the last area. This is a pretty big storage area under here, and so we have quite a bit of kind of what we need to get to. It's also pretty easy to get to. We don't need to take the table down or anything, and so this is where we keep our things that we use for kind of setting up camp. And so similar, we've got Velcro that takes off this panel, and then we've got the frame here, and we can start just kind of pulling the things out. We've got small parts here. This is basically extra radiator cap and a few ignition parts, fuel filter, things like that. So some of those regular spare parts that are good to have. Got a little bit of spare belts and some vacuum hose, and another few parts here with extra plumbing parts. So plumbing parts, various connectors, and kind of the potable water line type things. So again, using plastic bins is kind of nice because it helps keep things contained, and if the lids latch on nicely, then you don't have to worry about things falling out very much. Next here, so this is basically the kind of sewer stuff, various connectors and things. So kind of leave this the way it is until we need to use any of those things, and then put on some gloves and go to work. This is some of the just maybe emergency related things. So some rope and jumper cables and miscellaneous parts. Haven't really needed to use those things, but they're nice to have just in case. And then last couple things here, we've got a surge protector for when we're plugged into a campsite. and then some of the water supply things. And so this is potable water. We've got water filter and pressure regulator and hose, so basic potable water things. But these are all, again, self-contained in a plastic bin. Pretty easy to pull out when you're setting up camp or getting ready to use these things. And basically I feel pretty good about the spare parts and tools and supplies that I need, and it doesn't take up any more space than we need. We don't want to try to keep as much space available for camping as we can.